Introducing a stallion, as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus buyer speed figures, a 3-time Grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
Hi everyone, David Aragona here with another edition of the TimeformUS Road to the Derby series presented by Gainesway, as Gainesway is presenting all of our Kentucky Derby prep coverage at the Daily Racing Form this season. The focus of this week's video is the Grade 2 Rebel Stakes at Oaklawn Park. Race 11 on their 12-race card there. This is a 50 Kentucky Derby qualifying point prep race, though those 50 points will not be handed out if Newgrange is the winner of this race. We'll get to that in a little bit, though. The $1 million purse, though, on the line has attracted 11 runners to this race. Let's throw up the field, and it is a wide open race from a standpoint of horses potentially improving here, but the clear horse to beat is the number 2 Newgrange, who is shown as the 9-5 favorite on the morning line. I'm going to imagine that he's going to go down a little bit from that 9-5 price. It feels like he could go as low as even money or potentially just under that here, because he is a real standout. He's got that undefeated record coming in here as the winner of the local prep race, the Grade 3 Southwest. And actually 5 horses are coming out of the Southwest that are coming back into this Rebel to contest it. And 4 of those will be trying to beat Newgrange again after being beaten by him last time. The second choice on the morning line is the number 9 Barber Road. He's shown at 9-2 odds. The number 7 Ben Diesel, the third choice, at 6-1. Both of those horses are coming out of defeats to Newgrange last time, and a lot of the new shooters in this race that are not coming out of that Southwest are shown at bigger prices, at least on the morning line. Let's take a look at the TimeformUS pace projector for this race, because the pace is going to be pretty important to the chances of that favorite, the number 2 Newgrange. And you see the pace projector is predicting a fast pace in this situation, with the 2 inside drawn runners likely to show the most early speed. The number 1 Kavod, he was the early pace setter in the Southwest last time, and Newgrange stalked him. And I think we're likely to see a pretty similar scenario unfold here, with those 2 horses breaking from the inside post positions. The number 7 Ben Diesel was taken off the pace in the Southwest last time after setting the pace 2 back in the Smarty Jones. So I think his rider John Court has some options, but that is one horse that might be able to show some early initiative, as well as the number 8 Chasing Time. But it does seem like those 2 inside drawn runners are the fastest, and depending how much they hook up on the front end, that could really dictate the chances of the closers in this race. Let's take a look at Newgrange's PP as that undefeated Bob Baffert trained runner, 3 for 3 in his career, and he's improved his speed figures with each start, from a 104 in his sprint debut all the way up to a 111 TimeformUS speed figure when he won that Southwest Stakes last time. And as you can see coded here, there was that fast pace in the Southwest that he was stalking, and he finished up the race pretty gamely. He's just kind of a grinding son of violence that keeps running on through the wire, doesn't have the flashiest way of going or any kind of big turn of foot, but he just does seem like he gets this mile and the 16th distance pretty well, which is a bit of a question mark for some other runners in this race. So Newgrange, clearly the horse to beat. I would say that he's gotten some pretty good trips in some of his prior races, particularly 2 back in the Sham when he had a speed favoring track and a slow pace in his favor. Both of those things color-coded in the TimeformUS PPs with that red color-coded race rating box and the blue color-coded pace figures for that race. But Newgrange showed that victory in the Sham was no fluke last time when he took down the Southwest. And speaking of the Southwest, let's take a look at the stretch run of that race, and you'll see Newgrange coming into the lane about 3 wide with the white face and the blinkers and the yellow cap. He's ranging up outside of the leaders here, and it kind of briefly looks like he's not going to go by them. He's hanging a little bit. John Velasquez resorting to that left-handed whip, but once they come past the 16th pole, he kind of kicks it into another gear, feels the presence of Barber Road to his outside, that gray horse that's closing in the blue silks, and he kind of kicks on again when that horse comes to him, and he finishes up across the wire pretty well. Like this mile in the 16th distance was really no problem for him. Here are the PPs of that horse that was second in the Southwest, Barber Road, and just another horse that's kind of steadily been improving. He's now been second in 3 consecutive stakes races. Obviously, last time second to Newgrange in that Southwest Stakes. Did get a fast pace to close into, but he did have a little bit of trouble heading into the first turn of that race, kind of got shuffled back a little bit, ended up a little bit farther back in the pack than I would imagine Ricardo Santana wanted him to be, launched a wide run down the backstretch, covered a lot of ground around the far turn, turn and just kept coming on at the end of that race. And this son of race day seems like he's really been improving with added ground. He's one of the horses in this Rebel that will definitely benefit if that fast pace that was predicted on the pace projector does materialize here. And while he hasn't won a major race yet, I do think he's going to be a likely candidate to get another big piece of the purse here. Not really viewing him as the most likely winner, but I do think he's a horse that you definitely have to consider for the exotics. Another horse that's coming out of the Southwest is the number 7, Ben Diesel. I mentioned him as being one that has some options with regard to the pace, and you can see that in his PPs here. He set the pace 2 back in the Smarty Jones, actually a pretty quick pace, and part of the reason that he set the pace was because he was breaking from the far outside post position in a field of 13, so John Court's hand was kind of forced. He had to be aggressive that day. Had a few more options last time, breaking from an inside post position, and they elected to stalk the pace along the rail. I thought Ben Diesel got a great trip in that Southwest. The rail opened up for him at the top of the stretch. He had every chance to run down the leaders, including Newgrange, and just couldn't quite kick on in the late stages. Didn't really finish up that race like the added distance was working to his benefit. I mean, it's not supposed to be a problem. He's a full brother to Will Secret, who was a graded stakes winner for these connections going the same distance at Oaklawn. But it does feel like he just didn't really finish off that Southwest last time like the kind of horse that you'd want to bet back in the Rebel here. Another horse that comes out of the Southwest is the number 11 Dash Attack. But let's go 2 back and take a look at his victory in the Smarty Jones. This is a horse that was very visually impressive winning this race in the slop. That's him with the white face, this Kendrick Peak runner who makes that sweeping move off the far turn to take command by mid-stretch here. Now, this was only going a mile, whereas the distance of the Rebel and the Southwest that he ran last time is a mile and a 16th. And it really felt like the flat mile of this Smarty Jones worked in the favor of Dash Attack because this horse has a really impressive turn of foot, and he was able to use that to take command of this race with about an eighth of a mile to go. Not the case last time in the Southwest when it required a little bit more stamina. You could see the pace was a little bit faster. This horse was placed in mid-pack in the early going, and David Cohen kind of was allowing him to advance on the backstretch, but some other horses that were ranging up to his outside, like Barber Road, ran past him around the far turn, and Dash Attack could never really launch that turn of speed that he showed 2 back in the Smarty Jones last time in the Southwest. He just kind of stayed on at one pace through the final stages of that race, and I wonder if maybe the distance didn't work for him. It's also possible that he's just not a horse that's quite as effective over a fast track because he was facing sloppy and good sealed surfaces in his 2 victories when he kicked off his career. So I just wonder if he's maybe a horse that needs circumstances in his favor, and he didn't get them last time, and I wonder if he's not going to get them once again in this Rebel Stakes. Now we've covered the horses that are coming out of the Southwest. Let's talk about some of the new shooters in this race that are stepping up against Stakes Company. And there are a couple from the Steve Asmussen barn. One of those is the number 8 Chasing Time. And let's take a look at his last race when he won an optional claiming event at Oaklawn on January 14th. This, again, was just going a mile, so he's going to have to stretch out a little bit off this performance, but you can see he's pretty visually impressive winning this race, takes command over this field heading off the far turn, and he draws away very impressively through the lane. The drawback here, though, as we take a look at his TimeformUS PPs, is he really did have things in his favor because you see all of those blue color-coded TimeformUS pace figures for that last running line. And that indicates that they were not moving very quickly up front, and you can kind of see that when you watch the entire replay. The field was very bunched moving on to the backstretch. A horse kind of ran off who was reacting badly to that slow pace, and Joel Rosario on Chasing Time let him go and just reeled that horse in and won off easily. But I did think he got a perfect trip in that scenario. And furthermore, when you look through the charts and some of the horses that ran behind him that day, really not of the quality that he's going to face in a race like this, just a real subpar field for that allowance level. So I think he's going to have to do better as he steps up in class, and he's also going to have to improve on that career best 101 TimeformUS speed figure, and especially on the 99 TimeformUS speed figure that he earned last time, because many other horses in this race have already run faster. I'm actually more interested in the other Steve Asmussen horse in this race. I say the other one. He's got 3 in here. But the one that's listed as the second biggest price of his trio on the morning line, the number 6 Stellar Tap. We take a look at his past performances. I thought that he ran pretty well, despite losing as the 6-5 favorite in that allowance race last time out at Fairgrounds. When you go back and watch that entire race, he kind of got bumped between horses at the start, was not able to attain the forward position that I think his rider, Joel Rosario, wanted to that day, and he was just kind of locked in behind horses for a good part of that trip. Again, tried to angle out at the top of the stretch coming to the quarter pole, couldn't. He was in traffic behind runners. Ultimately had to alter course to the far outside, and I thought he was finishing on pretty gamely at the end, even though he was racing on his wrong lead. Just kind of looked a little bit discombobulated from that trip that he got. But I do think he ran better than that performance would suggest, and I'm encouraged by the fact that the winner of that race, Pioneer of Medina, came back to run so well in the Risen Star last week at the Fairgrounds. He was just off the board finishing fourth that day, but Pioneer of Medina really improved his speed figure coming back in that much tougher spot. And I wonder if maybe that allowance race is a bit stronger than it seemed at the time, and if Stellar Tap can take a similar step forward. And it suggests, based on his debut run, that he does have it in him, because he got a 109 TimeformUS speed figure for that very impressive unveiling last summer of Saratoga. So if Stellar Tap can finally build on that race, I think he could have a major say in the outcome here. It's just a matter of whether he can take that step forward. He's 10-1 in the morning line. I don't know if we're going to get that price on him, because I do think he could go off the shortest price of these Steve Asmussen runners. It feels like he's got the most appeal and the most upside of them, but I do think that he's one that you definitely want to consider in this Rebel Stakes. One more horse that I'm very interested in that is stepping up against Stakes Company for the first time is the number 10, Ethereal Road. Now, let's go back and look at his last race when he broke his maiden. I want to show a bit of this race, because Ethereal Road was very far back in the early going. He actually just kind of hopped and stumbled out of the starting gate, took a weird stutter step start, and didn't get into full stride for a good furlong or two. And he was a good 15 or 20 lengths back in the early portion of this race, but he makes this huge looping move around the far turn to pass the entire field, and he's still far back when they come to the top of the stretch, but he just keeps grinding on, and he's going to run right by some horses who were pretty well fancied in this race, including the runner-up Quick to Blame, and he just draws off as they come to the wire, eventually winning by about 4 lengths, despite the fact that he entered the far turn with well over 10 lengths to make up on the leaders. And it should be noted, that was not a race that featured a particularly fast pace. As we take a look at this horse's PPs, none of the pace figures are color-coded in red, and actually the runner-up in that race, Quick to Blame, was right up on the pace the entire way. So it's not like that was a race that completely fell apart. It certainly did not fall into the lap of Ethereal Road. He just took a gigantic step forward to win that race. Now you can ask yourself, where the heck did that come from? Because all of his prior speed figures don't quite measure up to that, but I would say that there were some clues that he had this in him if you go back and watch his race from December 2 back, because he got kind of a weird ride that day. He kind of got locked in behind some tiring runners coming to the top of the stretch, was way too far back, and he actually did some real running in the stretch of that muddy affair 2 back to get up for third, beating about 6 lengths. It was a deceptively strong performance, and Ethereal Road really stepped forward out of that race to be that impressive maiden winner last time. And we got a 102 TimeformUS speed figure. That's about 9 points lower than the number that Newgrange earned when he won the Southwest. So Ethereal Road does have to take another step forward, but he's going out for the Dwayne Lucas barn. Dwayne Lucas, a trainer that once was good with precocious runners, but in the past decade or two, he's really allowed his horses to develop with racing. They've gotten better over time, and Ethereal Road fits that profile. So I think that he's improving at the right time coming into this Rebel Stakes, and he's a possible upsetter in the field. So with that, let's throw out my top picks for this race, and no surprise, I put that horse that I was just talking up on top, the number 10, Ethereal Road. He's going to need some pace in his favor. He's going to have to take another step forward, but I was really blown away by that performance last time. And I think if he can continue progressing out of that maiden victory, he's a potential upsetter in this race. Listed at 12-1 in the morning line, I'd want to get somewhere around that price. And I think that we will, because I do believe that the number 2 Newgrange is going to take a lot of money in this race. Don't get me wrong, Newgrange is far and away the most likely winner. I'm really not against anybody holding that position, that he is way more likely to win this race than anybody else. It's just a Bob Baffert runner that's undefeated at Oaklawn Park. He has all the trappings of a horse that's going to be extremely overbet in this race at an underlay price. So I want to take a small shot against him with the number 10, Ethereal Road. I've got that Grinder Barber Road in third, and the number 6, Stellar Tap, that Steve Asmussen runner with some upside, as my 4th pick in the Grade 2 Rebel on Saturday at Oaklawn Park. Thanks to Gainesway for presenting this video, and good luck to you if you're playing the races this weekend.